Welcome in to Trust the Process Live. We are live, even though we are not in the studio, because I fucked around with this new thing called COVID. I don't know if you've heard anything about it before, but yeah, you know what I mean? Got to sit around because apparently tests don't show up for the first couple of days. So I am homebound. My office looks like a train wreck, much like my life in general. But I am your host, James Hyde, as always, with my guys, the YG Young Gentleman, James Jackson himself. How you doing, fella?
I'm good, man. I'm good. And hey, maybe we'll just treat your COVID case like the NFL and NCAA are doing and not really take any protocol and just kind of adopt it into our system.
I don't know. Who's to say? Not me. I don't run things. Whatever.
MJ hands. MJ guard hands after you beat him in quarters.
And I took that personally. So, you know, it is what it is. The man with digits in his name, 5 of them to be exact. Max Coolish. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Going on? How's it going, everybody? How we all feeling tonight?
I'm good. We in the playoffs, baby.
You are.
I'm feeling
in the playoffs, baby.
Fire them cannons.
Feeling. Hey, Josh Saffron, my man. How's the nickname coming? You got any thoughts?
It's just, if we're talking on the computer, I don't know how many nicknames are supposed to get made, and we'll chalk that one up to the whole situation too. But how am I supposed to create my own nickname? That's on you guys. I'm not.
I don't know. I feel like at this point you got to start pulling weight. You got to start contributing to the nickname fund because clearly, like, the train's not rolling as it should. So, like, take initiative.
It should not be on us to do the work for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nickname. Wait, did any of you create your own nicknames?
Well, no.
Through our actions.
Thank you, Max. Thank you, Max. I was just about to say that. We made it happen, though.
Yeah, exactly. In the famous words of Helen from Drake and Josh, that is not my job.
That is not my job.
I'm going to leave that up to you. But we're going to get right into it, fellas. The main event, as always, is eventful because that's what it is. Oh, boy. We're starting it out with last night's debacle. Is it fair? Can I call it a debacle yet? Is that
train wreck, debacle, something happened.
Okay. All right. So that being said, were the Eagles, like, how close were they really to this NFC title or NFC East title? Like, were we a few pieces away? Was it 1, 2, 3 pieces away, or is it long gone? Like, this was foregone conclusion. Like, you tell me, Max. You tell me if we were only a couple pieces away.
I mean, in any normal division, probably not. But I mean, it's hard to say that we weren't just a couple healthy players away from, you know, the whole division, even as it currently stands, is within like a game and a half of each other. Everybody just so happens that we're the first ones out by virtue of division record. So I think that I almost have to say yes. I mean, I'm not saying it's anything you should be super, super proud of. You know, you're coming in first place in the weakest division in the whole NFL, but I mean, clearly a clean 8-8 record would have walked you this division title this year. And I don't know. I have a hard time thinking that no matter how bad the Eagles were and how bad they looked, that maybe a couple guys stay healthier throughout the year, or there's a lot of other things that could have changed as well. But if we're just sticking on the topic of health, yeah, I think that maybe without a myriad of injuries, this team could have probably finished 8-8. They could probably slugged it out.
All right, and before we get to JJ, man, I want to save JJ because I want you to rain on our parades. It's been a bad Monday, and I want you to bring me down further. So, Josh, how many pieces? Was it a couple or a lot? Couple, a lot.
I think it was a couple. I mean, like Max said, of course, in any other division, no shot. But if we want to boil it down to just yesterday's game against the Cowboys, which I do. It was ridiculous because as it goes every season, it all comes down to a coin flip game against the Cowboys, and going into this game, it felt like a coin flip. And then as that injury list kept adding on, and you got Jaquette over here trying to cover some of the best receivers in the NFL, it just looked absolutely hopeless. And I don't think it would have taken 3 Darius Slays yesterday to have won that game. It would have taken 3 serviceable NFL average players in the secondary. And no disrespect to a local college, but Del Valle University secondary looked like they were playing yesterday. I think you could have tried out the 32nd best secondary in the NFL, and the Eagles would have at least had a puncher's chance yesterday. So yes, I think it really is simple. It comes down to you have a few guys healthy, you have a few guys in your secondary healthy. That's a win yesterday.
All right.
I do feel like Josh head in the cloud saffron a little bit is confusing division winner, NFC East division winner with like contender or serious team. So yes, you were a few injuries, maybe a few players staying healthy all season from winning the NFC East, but that doesn't make you any type of contender. I don't think this Eagles team would have contended anything past the NFC East. Like if it took 8-8 to walk through this division, I think when you meet someone in the first round, a la the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a la the Los Angeles Rams, somebody like that who's playing upper echelon football, then I feel like you get shot out of the sky very quickly when you come into the playoffs. But that Dallas game yesterday was more than just a defensive struggle. Through the first half, it was mostly defensive struggle, but then we saw Jalen Hurts look very, very rookie quarterback-esque going down the stretch where, he exhibited a lot of stuff that we put on Carson Wentz as being a huge problem and a huge blame. And then Jalen Hurts goes and shows the same thing again. So that Dallas game was more than just on the defensive secondary. I think the wheels started to come off in the second half when the Cowboys realized, like, look at this depleted Eagles defense that we're playing. They can't cover anyone that we're throwing out there, especially, Michael Gallup, who had an absolutely unbelievable day yesterday. But that Dallas game boils down more to than just absences on the defensive end or absences in the defensive secondary. So I do think this Eagles team was more than just a few injuries away from an NFC East title. Because I think even through the injuries, if we look at what the first 10, 12 weeks of the season, if Carson Wentz plays better football, there's about at least 3 more wins that you can look at the schedule and say the Eagles could have won that game with better football play. And that's without the injuries being accounted for. That's just with Carson Wentz playing better football. So I think there was more than just, oh man, the injury bug hit the Eagles, so that's why they're not in. They could have overcome the injury bug and at least won the NFC East if a lot of different things, if things went differently. And Max, you pointed out to it that there's more than just injuries. So then I think if we look beyond that, the Eagles had a chance to salvage the season before injuries hit, because injuries hit a lot of teams.
But JJ, you said something. You called out Jalen Hurts there, and I have to say something because
I mean a spade is spade. A spade is spade.
A spade is not a spade because let's look at what happened before the defense.
Josh, you can't ever tell someone a spade is not a spade.
Spade is not a spade when you're changing the definition of a spade, JJ, and you're saying that Jalen Hurts, like the defense, is the reason that Jalen Hurts was playing the way he was playing.
That's not what I said.
That's not what I said. You're saying Jalen Hurts was looking like a rookie quarterback, and yes, that's true, but that's because they were throwing the ball on every single play because that's the position that the defense put him in. Look at what Jalen Hurts was doing when his defense was when Fletcher Cox was in, and we'll get to that in a bit.
Does your defense make you fumble the ball?
First of all, he was down on that play.
Does your defense make you throw 2 to 3 interceptions? Does your defense do that to you? Like I sound like I'm Coach Boone. I sound like I'm Coach Boone, and I'm talking to Petey right now. Your blockers fumble the ball? Like you blaming it on your blockers. Your blockers won for no. Like your defense put you in a bad position. You didn't have to throw an interception. You didn't have to almost fumble the ball. You didn't have to exhibit a lot of things that he was doing. That's not your defense's fault.
But JJ, I just love how you were so quick to rush to Jalen Hurts' interception and his fumble. And
Josh, I was pointing out your point was that game yesterday boiled down to the fact that the Eagles' defensive secondary was so depleted that they couldn't cover anyone. My only point to that was yesterday's game was more of a product than just the defensive secondary. That was my point, strictly to argue or to strictly answer what you had said. I'm not extrapolating this out completely into Jalen Hurts' problem, but I was answering that point.
That's all right. I see what you're saying. I totally think it is 100% on the defense. The reason Hurts his turnovers, his mishaps, it's a direct result of the injuries on the secondary. That's what I think is funny.
What I think is funny is you condemn a lot of Carson Wentz apologists, and don't look now, Josh Safran, but you're walking down the road of Jalen Hurts apologists. You're sprinting down that path right now.
All I'll say is you usually need to score more than 17 points to win a football game. So we'll press on. We'll press on. And Josh, I saw it. I saw you want to jump at me right there. I jumped through the computer screen. I see it. We're going to move on. And you touched on it a little bit there, Josh, because I don't know, you may or may not have written the script. Who really knows in this business? But whatever. You touched on it a little bit. And my question for you guys is going to be something along the lines of float like a butterfly or sting like a stinger. So are we, is this time, are you telling me right now, you, Josh Sapp, are you telling me to be upset at Fletcher Cox? Is this what you're doing? Is this really what we're doing? Is that you telling me to be upset? Am I?
Ooh, that's loaded. That's loaded. And it's tough because, look, I love Fletch. And yesterday is a perfect example of how integral he is to this entire team, this team's success. And look, I don't know what he was going through. I got to imagine it was pretty bad. But the fact that it's 24 hours later and we still don't have anything more than the word stinger to describe the injury that took him out of the game yesterday, I'm pretty peeved. I'm pretty peeved today, fellas. And
at who? At who are you peeved at? At who?
Look, I want to just preface it by saying I'm no doctor and I'm not Fletcher Cox. So I can't say anything. I can't say anything or speculate. But if this is a stinger, I'm peeved at Fletcher Cox. I'm sorry. I mean, look at what happened yesterday before and after he came in. It's that basic. And this one's for all those people out there who I was around for the body bag game, all those old Eagles heads. This is one of the biggest rivalries. This is in sports. This is the biggest rivalry in Philadelphia. And when you're playing for the division, it's win or go home. You're the best player on the team, according to some folks, and you have a stinger and you don't return to the game. That just simply does not sit well to me. What's the 4, JJ? What's the 4?
That's the wins y'all have. You want him to that's what y'all were working with.
So hey man, pinch nerve in your neck is nothing to mess around with.
That hurts, man. And realize who you're calling out, right?
Whoa, this is the same guy that we question his effort a lot, is it not?
I haven't questioned him much this season. We have. That's fair. We have pointed it out in the past. But I mean, this season, especially in the prominent games, I mean, Fletcher Cox has been doing his job. That's one of the leaders and heroes of the defense. And I don't think he sits out if he has to, or if he doesn't have to. Like if it's just a stinger and he could play, I feel like he goes out there and plays. But you also, I mean, I think Fletcher Cox is also able to realize that, hey, not this season. There are seasons to go out there and risk my future. There are games to go out there and risk my future. Week 17 on a 4-win team is not the day, is not the week to do it. Not the game to do it. If he's 100% healthy, then yeah, go out and play. You can't not play just because you don't feel like it or you woke up a little under the weather. But if he legitimately still has a pinched nerve in his neck, legitimately still has something medically where pushing it may hurt it, falling on it the wrong way may hurt it, why do that for a 4-win team when even if you win these games, you need help to get into the wild card spot?
I don't know what culture they teach you in Tampa Bay. Not making.
You're talking to a 10-win team. You're talking to a 10-win team now.
I'm talking about
a 10-win team.
I am talking about culture. Okay?
I'm talking about reality. I'm talking about being realistic.
Well,
I'm talking about the culture of you're one of our best defensive players. So why go out and put you out hurt for you to get hurt in this game? 4 wins you have on the season and risk you for next season. This is what we're working on is next season. We just talked about this.
4 wins or not 4 wins, there was a chance to make the playoffs, and
do
what?
It's
the NFL.
And do
it's
what?
The NFL.
And do what, Josh? You sat here on this computer screen, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and agreed with me that the Eagles need to start looking forward. But putting Jalen Hurts in was a sign of the Eagles looking forward, not necessarily pinning it all on this year. You don't have to pin it all on this year. You want Fletcher Cox to go out and play hurt for what? Like, are you not okay with realizing that, hey, it's not this season, so I'm not going to put one of my best defensive players at risk? I'm okay with not doing that?
I'm okay with it, but if you, in this city, if you have a chance to make the playoffs and you're the team's best player and you have the lead as the best player on the team, as the leader, and you go out against the Cowboys in Week 16 with a stinger, I'm sorry. I can't be okay with that.
First of all, don't come at the culture of the Buccaneers when you should be looking inward at the culture of Eagles fans, not looking at stuff realistically. Like, for one, to question a football player's motive or toughness is a tough thing to do to start off with. That's an NFL professional football player. To do it with one of your best D tackles, a dude who spends 16 straight weeks in the trenches, eating up blockers, taking on 350-pound men, snap after snap after snap, to question that dude's toughness, the captain of your defense, I wouldn't be looking at my culture.
I don't know,
I wouldn't
man.
be looking at my culture doing that.
I stubbed my toe the other day, and I only cried for like 2 minutes. So I think I have a threshold that I can judge.
Hey, that's me.
I don't know, Max. I see the wheels turning. I can see the steam coming out of your ears.
There's not much. I don't have much to offer here, but it is really as simple as the Eagles, as of kickoff yesterday, they controlled their destiny with a Washington football team loss, which happened. Like, yeah, the Eagles wouldn't have done anything in the playoffs most likely. Yes, the Eagles would have most likely, gotten the crap kicked out of them by whoever they play in the first round. But the fact of the matter is, we always talk in the NFL how guys don't lose on purpose. The Eagles were they had a 14-point or a 7-point or a 14-point lead and just needed to win next week to make the playoffs and win the division again. They don't care that they're 6-9-1. They don't care that people like us, say they have no chance to win a game. If a professional group of athletes can clearly see the goal of, hey, if we win this game and, then if they won yesterday, they had complete control of their destiny, right? Like it was that simple. And, there was a reason all the NFC East teams played at the same time. And so, they wouldn't be influenced by what was going on in other games. And I don't want to question his toughness, but as far as everybody on that sideline knew and was aware of, the Panthers were up early and often in that game. The Washington football team was never close to winning that game. That sideline knew that if they were able to win that game, they just needed to win next week to get in. And I'm not going to question his toughness here, but to say that the Eagles were playing for nothing and to bring up the fact that they only had 4 wins is pretty irrelevant in this discussion in my mind.
I mean, I'm sorry that the 4 wins hurts a little bit. I know that don't feel good.
That's the truth, but it's also the truth that the Eagles control their own destiny to make the playoffs. It doesn't matter how you get to the playoffs, man. Every franchise in the league wants to make it to the playoffs. It doesn't matter how you get there. If you're 6-9-1 winning your division, guess what? That's the same playoff berth as the 10-6 Buccaneers are going to have because we're all playing on the first weekend.
And it's just my other thing was it's the Cowboys. Like I know it's every team is, but it's the Cowboys. There is more to the Philly-Dallas rivalry. Everyone knows that in this town, at least. Maybe not so much down south, but at least for Philly fans, everyone knows that game means more.
I mean, you're talking about a dude in Fletcher Cox who, I mean, are you going to say Fletcher Cox hasn't paid his dues to the Philly-Dallas rivalry? Like
I won't say that.
So here's where I will reconcile. I think it could be said that Fletcher Cox, could have gone back into the game. As a fan who wants to see his best players on the field if they're able to, I understand that, hey, it doesn't sit with you kind of right that it looks like Fletcher was healthy, he was moving fine, and the only thing we have to explain why he wasn't on the field is a stinger because they can't medically come up with anything else like that, fine. But to be upset at him, mad at him, cast aspersions, question his toughness is sprinting past the line that we don't need to do. And I wouldn't do if Devin White, or Levante David, my best defensive player, did the same exact thing yesterday. I wouldn't be questioning his toughness. I wouldn't be mad at him for not playing. I wouldn't.
All right. So unfortunately, over the holiday weekend, there was an unfortunate trend of blowouts. So moving from one blowout to the next. Unfortunately, nope. Your boy skipped the topic. That's my bad.
Jumping ahead now.
Really quick. And I'm going to ask you, what AFC team will miss the playoffs? And I know I made the graphic for it. I know I don't see it in the script anymore. I get it, Josh, but I like the question, so it's going to stay in. So, and before any of you guys can steal my answers, because that's a common trend. If you don't think so, you're a liar. I'm going to go first. I'm going to say the Colts. I think the Colts are going to miss the playoffs. That loss yesterday really hurt Frank Reich's team. They were blowing out the Steelers, and to see them come back, I mean, does it restore my faith in the Steelers? No. Does it make me think the Colts are going to miss the playoffs now at 10-5? Yeah, I'm going to go yeah. So we'll go around the horn. JJ, AFC team you think is going to miss the playoffs?
I had it with you with the Colts after that loss to Pittsburgh. You pretty much hit it on the head for me. Like I'm not running over and saying that, hey, Pittsburgh's all good. Juju can keep dancing and all that. They got back in the win column. That was good. But if you look at the Indianapolis Colts, that was a chance to take advantage of a down bad Tennessee Titans team who was looking a little shaky coming into yesterday. a chance to really, solidify themselves not only in AFC South power, but move up in the rankings. And, a week 16 loss when you're in the hunt or when you're having a wild card spot, that just puts a dark cloud on you and puts complete, holes in your sails as you're trying to move forward. And that was a Colts team that really needed that win. And the AFC playoff picture is tough. It's a real crowded bunch. And, one game or half a loss can separate you from inside the playoff picture to out of it. And the Indianapolis Colts are really on the verge and really in jeopardy of not playing in January, which at the beginning of the season they have very high hopes to. So I know we normally take yours, but you took mine.
All right, hey, see, that's why I went first. Max A Million, last of the AFC, man. Who's missing the picture?
It's tough because I was gonna say Colts, but I feel like that'd be kind of boring. So I'm gonna go with the Dolphins strictly because they have.
That was my next one, Max.
They have the hardest game in Week 17. They're playing against the Bills. I think the Bills can still hop the Steelers, assuming they win tonight, or assuming they win tonight, they'll be ahead of the Steelers for the 2 seed, which means that they would likely need to, unless the Steelers are benching people, that might lead to the Bills benching people. But I think the Bills are they're not a team that's been established for a while. They're an up and coming team. I don't see them as a team that's going to take off Week 17 to rest up for a week. You know what I mean? So I think the Bills by virtue are going to be the hardest opponent that any one of those other, teams in the mix are going to play. Admittedly, I don't know all the playoff math for everyone off the top of their head, but, just off the team that I think is most likely to lose their game straight up, I would say it's the Dolphins.
All right. Josh, wrap us up with the AFC, man.
Oh, man, I've been looking forward to saying this. It's the Browns. I think the Browns don't make it. And for me, I couldn't get through one sports show this year without hearing, are the Browns for real this year? And I just kept saying no. I kept saying no, and they kept proving me wrong. And it just seems so Cleveland. It seems so on brand for all year. It's like a sure thing. You're one of the best teams. Oh, the Browns are a contender. And they just botch it. They have a crazy loss to the Jets. They might not be able to get it right going against the Steelers. And look, I think a lot of it's going to come down to, are the Steelers going to bench their players or not? This is more of just a fade the Browns for me. They're gonna Browns it. Like, I just can't believe I'm gonna see a Cleveland Browns team in the playoffs. Can't believe it.
I know, Josh. You took the shortest route to where you could get to your argument. I think you're completely forgetting that the Browns didn't have their top 4 wideouts. I don't know what team wins without your top 4 wideouts.
Best offensive lineman.
It seems
That's
very
tough.
Cleveland Browns of them to do. It's like it's backing it up. Like, it's just bad things happen. They're not meant to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, they had 4. The Cleveland Browns' bread and butter is that rushing attack, and they had 4 yards rushing in the first half. So I don't know if everything's firing all cylinders there in Cleveland, but like I said before, we're going to stay in the realm of blowouts because unfortunately that happened to be a thing in the city of Philadelphia over the holiday weekend. The Sixers got blown out last night. Granted, they did not have I'm not saying it with you. They did not have Joel Embiid. Unfortunately, it didn't look good. So am I starting to worry? I want you to tell me my worry level. Am I 10? Am I 8? I don't know. Am I 3? I don't know. It's JJ. Tell me, are you worried and should I panic?
Worried, no. Panic, no. Alarmed is the word that I would go to.
It's almost more unsettling than worried.
Yeah, alarmed, unsettling is more. It's the second game, third game of the season. Mm-hmm. So to panic right now would be jumping the gun. Would be you're being completely ahead of yourself. I don't think it is at that point yet. But it's a little worrisome. I mean, this is the Cleveland Cavaliers. This isn't any powerhouse in the Eastern Conference. This is a team that, after you start good off beating the Knicks, that you should just carry that momentum in, Joel Embiid or no Joel Embiid, and beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, a team who finished with, sub 15, sub 20 wins last year. So, it just doesn't – I know there's a lot of new pieces for the Sixers. It's going to take a little bit to gel, but you would like to see some things come to fruition against very bad teams, very ladder teams in your conference. Look, the Brooklyn Nets are a new-looking team. The Milwaukee Bucks have some new-looking pieces. And those aren't teams that are going to be looking to lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're
what about the Knicks? What about any of those teams losing to the Knicks recently?
Or the Hornets?
Or the Hornets? That's crazy. Crazy because the Bucks lost to the Knicks by 20, so they're trash too, right?
Yep. Everyone in the Eastern Conference is trash. Every single one.
Well, that's a whole different discussion.
Okay, all right, cool. I'm just making sure we're establishing that.
Every single one. But if you're gonna tell me that those fan bases aren't worried either, so you're telling me that the Bucks fan base isn't a little alarmed by a 20-point loss to the Knicks?
It's got to be shell shock, but I got to be honest. If I'm a Milwaukee fan, Giannis already signed that extension. I'm sleeping easy.
What? You're sleeping easy.
I'm saying that long term, I got it locked down. One game. Like, think about it like this. Hold on, really quick. Let me just say this: if Giannis doesn't sign that extension, every single loss like this for the Bucks is just a huge, enormous deal. How is this guy ever gonna think he can compete for a title in Milwaukee if we lose to the Knicks once by 20? Now he's already signed that deal. He's not going anywhere. I don't think that team is. That's all I'm getting at. Is it a bad loss? Hell yeah, it's a bad.
We've seen 5-year max extensions, not live out their entirety many times.
Yeah, that's
when a superstar gets unhappy. A superstar right now is trying to get out of the last 2 years of his 5-year max extension. Right now, he's trying to do it. So wins still matter. But that very good tactic, Max. Very good tactic to put the point of view on the Nets and Bucks real quick to not have to feel the value.
I'm just saying,
of the loss.
If you're going to crucify the Sixers for one bad
loss,
you got to crucify the Bucks for one bad loss. You got to crucify the Nets for losing to Charlotte. That's if you're going to do it to the Sixers, you can't just do it to the Sixers because this is a Philly show. If you're gonna hate fairly, my friend, please. To answer the question, I'm gonna say that I'm not alarmed. Like, we see this. This does suck. Like, I should not be so conditioned to just getting dumpstered by lesser opposition when Joel Embiid is out. But that is something that I'm adjusted to at this point. I think it wouldn't have mattered who we played. The first game without Embiid this year was always going to be a loss. I didn't know it would have come in the third game. I would have, I'd have liked to see him in, maybe go more than 2 games without that having to happen. But I'm not going to worry about this team just yet. I'm not gonna.
But what should worry
Hopefully you guys
a little bit? What should worry you a tiny bit is that Ben Simmons couldn't carry this team or couldn't lead this team to a victory without Joel Embiid against the Cavs. Now, if there's a team, now you play without Joel Embiid against a 5th seeder up in either conference, justified. But I think if you're looking at this team and you're looking at Ben Simmons, like, I need you to be able to pick up slack where Joel Embiid leaves off. Like, it shouldn't be such a disparity when I have another all-star on my team, another all-NBA type player on my team. It shouldn't be such a disparity.
I agree. One other quick thing. This loss is not going to look so bad in a couple months. I was
probably not. You'll
high
probably forget this loss.
I am positive the Cavs finish as a 7 or 8 seed in the East now. Garland and Sexton both took a big jump up. I was already a big Sexton guy, but I think that Garland is showing enough where I think that they can be the top of that bottom 7 to 12 seed in the East.
All right, Josh, tell me where I'm at, man.
Whoa.
Hey, I'm with Max. I'm co-signing that. I think Andre Drummond's the most underrated big man maybe in the entire NBA. Like, look at those guys, steals and blocks. Forget about just offense. Yeah, most underrated, JJ. I don't think I'm saying anything too crazy. Most underrated. And then you take away
Nick Vooch. Go ahead.
Oh no, Vooch. Vooch is rated. I think Vooch gets his due. I love Vooch. But anyways, I mean, when you take out Embiid.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, you take out Embiid and you stack him up against not only Drummond and then Kevin Love. Simmons cannot play the 5. We see it. They keep trying it out. They tried him out last night. Can't play the 5. That worries me. Ben Simmons.
Tony Bradley was getting cooked too.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess I'd say this in the scheme of a 72-game season, that game doesn't worry me. But in the sense that there were so many changes, and one of the things that this team thought they might have been able to change was they don't have to be so reliant on Joel Embiid. That does worry me, just because it's so clear this team can only go as far as Joel Embiid takes them. It's all about Joe. It's still all about Joe. And all the people who wanted to trade Embiid and just hold on to Simmons, I just think you're crazy, because this is just another example of it. So, yes, not worried, but whenever Joel Embiid is not playing, I almost feel you can chalk it up as a loss, and that does worry me.
Yeah,
So I don't understand. Go ahead. No, I don't want to cut you off. I just don't understand what you said.
Two things stood out to me last night. So they're playing a back-to-back. The first game of the back-to-back, Joel Embiid comes out in the press conference and says, I feel great. I want to play every single game. And the next day, something called load management hits, and that came in the form of a back strain. Now, that's fine. That's all well and good, but it's a little, I don't want to say insulting, but it's a little not unnerving, but annoying to have him coming into the season. Everybody's saying, oh my God, he looks great. He's dropped a couple pounds. He's a dad now. This, that, and the other thing. He's all new and ready to go. And having Embiid say multiple times, I want to play every single game. And the third game of the season, you want to hit me with a quote unquote back tightness? Like, come on, man. To me, that's, I don't know. I didn't like how it didn't really sit well with me, to be honest. But I think, Max, I think you said it very well, man. I think when we look back into this game isn't going to mean as much because everybody's still stuck on, oh, it's the Cavaliers. I think the Cavaliers are a lot better than people think, and that's going to be a common theme of this season. We'll get back to that a little bit later in the show. But I do have a question, though. Can I get the money that I didn't bet on Furkan to be Sixth Man of the Year back? Can I get that back? Is that on the table? I don't know. Whatever. JJ, I'm sorry. Did I cut you off?
You did. So I love just absolutely shooting Josh Safran down this episode. It's the thing I'm enjoying the most. But your last comment before Banners won, you said, I'm not worried about the loss, but they look that bad without Joel Embiid, and that worries me.
Yes.
Don't understand how both of them
I'm not
about the loss, but the principle of the loss worries you.
I'm not worried about the Sixers because of that loss. I'm worried about an Embiid-less Sixers, I guess is what I was trying to say. I have no problems. That game did not raise any red flags for me in terms of, oh, the Sixers, this year's over. Like, they can't even beat the Cavs. All it said to me was, yeah, they still suck without Joel Embiid. That does worry me. So JJ, in a week when Embiid, when they say his meniscus is messed up or something like that, I'll be telling you I'm hitting the panic button. Yeah, no, I'm not trying to put that out into the air.
Put that out there, my brother.
Hey, as Max said, I've been too conditioned for the worst at this point.
Jesus. So we're gonna stick with the Sixers right there, and we talked about a coin flip earlier. We're gonna flip that coin again, and I want you guys to tell me. And Josh, I'm gonna start with you, my man. What has impressed you so far about the Sixers? Now, granted, small sample size through 3 games, but what has impressed you through 3 games, and what has left you a little bit worried? We might have touched on your bigger point for worry there a little bit, but I want you to tell me what's impressed you and what has you a little bit worried.
Yeah, I want to start with what's worried me, actually, because we were, on Embiid worry, and it's Danny Green. Danny Green's worrying me just a little bit because he was, he wasn't on a trend upwards last year, and I kind of just brushed it off. Bubble, so many weird things going on. But he seems like it just kind of seems like Father Time's catching up with him. And he seemed like the kind of player that doesn't necessarily need to be as athletic. And he just looks like he's lost a step a little bit. Danny Green is worrying me just a tad, and also Tony Bradley. I don't think he should be on the roster. We need one more center. That's what worries me. We need one more center, one more big man on this team. What I've been impressed with, though, has been guard play. It is like a breath of fresh air to have some guards who can dribble the ball and shoot the ball. Whoa, you're allowed to do that? Because I wasn't aware as a 76ers fan that you can both dribble and shoot. Seeing Maxey coming in, and the jury's still out. He's had flashes of greatness, flashes of sloppiness. But overall, Seth Curry, Shake, and Maxey, I think that having 3 guards who can just shoot, dribble, pass, facilitate, they might not all be doing it at the same time and at the same night, but it feels like a real breath of fresh air for a Sixers fan.
All right. Max, 8 million. Impressed and a little worried.
I mean, Josh just said the whole roster impressed him, so I'm not really sure.
I know, right.
But I just want to take a small victory lap here for my boy Maxey. I said that he could be a half-court ball facilitator, which he has shown to be, but B, he has not quite shown to be the spot-up gunner yet. But he's taking the shots now. Like, even in the first 3 games, I've seen an increase in the willingness to shoot when the opportunities fall to him. I mean, granted, they were down, 15 to 25 most of the game against the Cavs. So, I guess you're a little bit more willing to hook up a 3 if you're, trying to, if you're down by 8 to 10 possessions. So I guess I shouldn't buy too heavily into that. But in general, Maxey has looked really, really impressive. And of course, I already can't remember which game it was, but it was one of the first 2 games. I believe it was against the Knicks, where he ran a pick and roll with somebody at the top of the key, and he was driving right and just absolutely launched a one-handed missile to the corner. Of course, my internet connection says it's unstable. But to wrap up, it was really impressed me. There was one single play. Tyrese Maxey, pick and roll high, top of the key, drives right, fires a missile to the left corner for an open Korkmaz 3. I'm pretty sure it was. Just stuff like that is nice, seeing a guy with such good court awareness and the ability to read the game and know what has to be done in his, I think it was his second NBA or even maybe his first game at that point.
Love it. JJ.
So I think, first of all, what's impressed me, I'll start with that. Not only just guard play, but I think Shake Milton in particular. I was very, very adamant on this show specifically that my jury was still out on Shake Milton. Shake Milton had 2, maybe 3 games last year. Everyone's like, yeah, that's our dude for sure. And then it looked after that, especially in the bubble. Didn't look all that great. But I think there was a lot of responsibility put on Shake Milton's plate to come out and produce right away, as especially if he's going to start being in that first guard spot. And I even put the responsibility and pressure on him myself. So for him to go out what he's doing and look to score the ball in efficient ways in his first 3 games, especially in that last game against the Knicks before the Cavs game. I mean, he had, I believe he finished with 18 or 19 points. That if Shake Milton gives you that on a nightly basis, I mean, that's going to tremendously help your team. And I think that's what he should be looking to build towards each time. So I'm happy that Shake came out firing like that and started the season out, with good momentum. But one thing that I think should worry the Sixers and is something that really hasn't changed in a long time is just the apathetic play of Tobias Harris. I think it's very pedestrian type play. Like it's not anything big. And if I were to ask you 3, who's the Sixers' 3rd best player? Who should be the Sixers' 3rd scoring option on offense? Who should be the 3rd guy for the Sixers? Who would you say?
Not Tobias Harris. That's for sure.
It's got to be $180 million man, right?
I totally forgot to mention what was disappointing to me, and Tobias Harris was the end goal, but to me, I don't think apathetic's the right word for it. It seems like he's trying too hard. Like it always seems like he's just trying to take over on every single possession, like he's Michael Jordan in '91. Like every time he the offense is running through him, this sounds stupid to say, but he is just so determined to get those 2 points. Like he tries doing things that he's not comfortable with, that's not in his game. And I was hoping that, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I guess you're correct, but I'm looking at the stat line: 13 shots, 14 shots, and then against the Cavs with no Joel Embiid, 10 shots. Like if you're my 3rd scoring option and my 1st or 2nd scoring option goes down, I need you taking more than 10 shots throughout the game. You went 5 for 10.
Every time.
That's not gonna get.
I gotta say, it felt like he took way more than 10 shots against.
It did feel like he took a little more than 10. 10 surprised me, but only 10 shots is not gonna get it done.
No, I agree. I will 100%.
Well, especially when he was efficient yesterday to start the game.
He was efficient. 5 for 10, 4 from 6. That's the efficiency is there, but the volume needs to go up. Like you can't be 50% on 10 shots a game. That's low balling for Tobias Harris.
Right.
If Shake Milton is 5 for 10 on 50% and 4 for 6 from 3, that's a Shake Milton game. That's a game that I want Shake Milton to produce on a nightly basis. But for 3 games to go by and Tobias Harris to not hit 20 points against the Wizards, Knicks, and Cavs, those are the 3 games we're talking about now. He ain't played crazy competition. He has yet to hit 20 points.
Yeah.
And I think Joel Embiid is a guaranteed 25 plus a night, 26, 27 plus a night.
I like the it's tangible. It's a tangible difference between Doc Rivers and Brett Brown's coaching style. I almost said Ben Brown. What am I?
You did.
But it's a tangible difference right there. Like, I mean, when you saw the Cavaliers go on those like late second quarter, like 5 to 7 point runs, like when Brett Brown was here, there would have been 3 to 4 timeouts called. You know what I mean? And now obviously it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to last night, but right there is just a microcosm of the overall difference in coaching philosophy. Like sometimes you just need to play through the runs. Like it's not always the case. And last night it turned out exactly how you wouldn't want it to play out, but it was just so predictable when Brett Brown was here. Like, oh, they score 5 points, give me a timeout. Like you don't give the guys a chance to run it out. So that's I'm impressed that the philosophies are that differing, and it's very apparent. So at least we're trying new things. At least we're getting the guys in a new system and trying to progress. And what worries me is the shooting. And it's again small sample size, but the shooting has. It's really weird to look at it. Like they make more contested threes than they have open threes through 3 games. Like that's.
I'm so glad you said that because I was going to have to cut you off and say that if you didn't.
And it's extremely weird to me. Danny Green is like the prime example of it. Like the only threes he's hit, I'm pretty sure, are with a hand in his face. And that doesn't make sense to me. Like I said, Korkmaz, I think the abductor strain is kind of a blessing in disguise to get somebody else into his rotation spot, because that was just hard to watch with that dude last night. Like, oh, that was really bad from Korkmaz. It was just tough to watch. So that's what would worry me. Max, I saw you do a little. What was that?
Oh no, I was just agreeing. Like it felt like the Sixers couldn't make anything last night in general, but I would say that over the first 3 games, it feels like every time that there's, I've actually seen a lot of nice ball movement around the wings. Like it seems like Danny Green and Seth are both willing to make extra passes to guys, and I feel like that's something that we have not seen in the last couple of years. Yeah, it feels like it feels like for all the really good looks the Sixers are getting from 3, it feels like they're not making them at the clip they should be, for sure.
I do want to point out, I think it's interesting that we all talked about worries and concerns and none of them were coaching. And I think that's a healthy sign. So far, let's
good.
Let Doc blow a couple more Cavs games, and there might be a different attitude in the 2-1-5 , but
I'm not putting that game on Doc. Dude, the Cavs could not miss last night. They played bad defense, but the Cavs could not miss last night. Everything's working for them.
Yeah, they were getting every role possible like those. So that was a good Sixers conversation. We obviously the season has just started, so we will be circling back around to them many times in the next coming weeks. But gentlemen, we're going to move on to our favorite section here, winners and losers. We're going to start first with our winners. Okay, biggest winner of week. Oh, this says I'm not going to put up the graphic because that did not have the week change. But the winner of week 16 for you, JJ, my man.
I mean, my guy, he was a journeyman on the Bucks at one time, delivered a very sizzling win against the Eagles in 2018. But it's got to be Fitzmagic, man. The beard himself, the ageless one. Look, I mean, he's had to deal with a lot this season between thinking he was going to be the starter, Tua coming in, and then him having to just to come in and save it whenever Brian Flores just really needs him. That's his role now. Brian Flores has already said Tua is going to be the starter next week, and Fitz is ready if we need him. And Fitzpatrick reminds me of the football version of, I'm going to throw a name out here for all the Phillies fans in here, Matt Stairs. That's exactly who Ryan Fitzpatrick reminds me.
That's good.
Because Matt Stairs had a lengthy career, but Matt Stairs was never that's what it is. But one of our finest moments, Matt Stairs isn't Matt Stairs a starter or whenever the 1 or 2 seasons that he was. It's Matt Stairs coming in the bottom of the 8th or top of the 9th and doing something Matt Stairs could do and saving the game. And that's exactly what Brian Flores, it's a position Brian Flores has just put Fitzpatrick in. He literally said, if Fitzpatrick needs to come in and pinch hit in the ninth, we're not afraid to bring him off the bench. He's Matt Stairs now. And hopefully he owns that. But good for Ryan Fitzpatrick because, I'm glad that he didn't just have those 3 straight wins, lose his job, and he didn't get to show himself. Like he's gotten to show himself a couple of times since and remind the young buck of like, oh, you can't just do what I do. You can't just come in here and do what I do. Fitzpatrick.
That's a good poll. Josh, who's your
my winner this week is not an NFL player, but a future one. It's Trevor Lawrence, because I've thrown the idea out here before. Why doesn't Trevor Lawrence just stay another year at college? Well, now he's got of course the money, of course, but look, he's not going to be on the Jets. He's going to play on the Jags next year, which I'm starting to wonder, maybe not a contender or anything like that, but they could be a 500 ball club with Trevor Lawrence. I really believe that. I think Paul Robinson's a stud. DJ Chark is a stud. And then you throw in Trevor Lawrence, who many people are calling the next Peyton Manning. I did not say that, but many people are saying next Peyton Manning.
Not the next Peyton. He's great. He's not the next Peyton's not who I would peg him as, but keep going.
Not my words, other people's words. I'm just saying, he's a Georgia boy. He gets to stay in the South. Look, I don't know what the Jets are going to do. They did it to themselves. I'm happy for Trevor Lawrence, and I'm excited to watch the Jags.
Max $8 million?
So my winner is someone who I floated putting out there last week, but I didn't. But I got to do it this week. The Chicago Bears find themselves a win away from making the playoffs off the back of Mitchell Trubisky.
He's looked good, though. He's looked good.
Oh, okay. I thought you said
no. No. I agree. I'm saying, like, look at Mitch. Go ahead.
At the darkest hour in his career, a lot of uncertainty facing his future. If the Bears are going to re-sign him, if he's going somewhere else, what has he done? He's absolutely balled the last couple of games. And quite honestly, people would be even more enamored with him if they didn't end up fumble. If he was a big reason they lost that game against the Lions a couple of weeks ago. But he even played really well in that game. He just had maybe the biggest mistake for either team. But I mean, the Bears got some help from the Cardinals losing, and now they're a win against the potential backups for Green Bay from being in the playoffs. And if they're going to do it, if they're going to knock the Green Bay monkey off, it's got to be because of Mitch again. But I just got to say, for a guy that's been memed quite a lot, both him and the organization that drafted him, it's always nice to see, even if it's just a temporary win, he's getting a W here.
So you guys know what I'm doing right now? I'm looking for another winner because Max, winner. Common trend. But no, I'm going to go with Darnold. I'm going to go with Big Sammy D. Unfortunately, they have played themselves out of the number 1 pick, and I think Sam Darnold may have just bought himself another year in New York. And I mean, you know what? Call that what you will. If that's a win or a loss, I'll leave that up to you.
I could go either Sam Darnold for sure.
So I think Sam might have played his way into a starting job for one more year in the NFL in New York. So in New York, like I said, whether that's a win or a loss, I don't think that's my place to say. So we're gonna move right into.
Barons, I think I was gonna say, Barons, that's a good point, because a lot of people are asking, like, what the Jets? Why would you win that game and not keep number 1 seed?
Yeah.
And people keep forgetting that, like, the main person who controls that quarterback, and the quarterback doesn't want them to be in another position to draft his successor, to draft someone who's going to take his job. So it's like, hell, if I'm Sam Darnold, I'm trying to win every game possible. You're not about to draft someone who's going to take over my spot. No, I'm winning these games.
If the Jets win week 17, 3-game win into the 3-game win streak into the offseason, people are going to be in on the Jets next year. Be like, yeah, the Jets might have started 0-13,
that's momentum,
but they finished 3-13.
Exactly. So we're going to move right on to our losers. Josh Saffron, start us off with your losers, my man.
Well, it's right on the trend of that Jets-Browns game, and I'm going with the Browns as a loser because, look, we talked about it. I get it. They had the 4 receivers, COVID and whatnot. But, the loser is really just the people of Cleveland. I feel bad for them. You haven't made the playoffs since 2002. All you have to do is beat the hapless Jets. And just everything that can go wrong did go wrong. And we haven't mentioned that their plane was like 4 hours late or something like that. They couldn't do their walkthroughs. Like, this is not an L that I'm happy to dish out. It's just one with a heavy heart here. People of Cleveland, you were trying to get rid of it, but here you go. Have another one. Look, they're playing the Steelers. Like, that's the thing. They don't get to go play the Jaguars this week. I say the Jaguars, but they did just lose to the Jets. It's just the poor people of Cleveland. They finally thought, oh, the drought is over, and it's not. It's not. Hey, they control their own destiny. I've already picked them to lose because they are in Cleveland, but they're the loser for this week because all they had to do was beat the Jets, and they couldn't do it.
Max, your loser.
Where you're saying, oh, poor Cleveland, and there's a smile on your face the whole time.
That doesn't make it any less funny.
Josh, it looks real fake. It looks real fake to say poor Cleveland with a smile on your face.
Hey, it's comedy. At this point, I think you gotta, when it hurts so much, it just becomes funny.
Sure.
Look, being a processed Sixers fan, you learn to laugh at it.
Give me one of you two. Give me your losers, whoever hears this first.
I got low-hanging fruit for mine, so I'll go first, just so no one else steals it. And I don't have to think any harder. Dwayne Haskins, man.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything else. Dwayne Haskins, man.
They didn't have to waive him though. They didn't have to do all that though.
They kind of did.
I would have.
They kind of did, but my heart sank when I saw that today. I was like, it's not enough that like he lost you the game that would have put you in the playoffs, but you had to waive him. He can't even be on the roster for the last week of the season. Oh, that's tough.
Oh, JJ, you're a loser, man.
My loser's the Arizona Cardinals, straight up and straight out there. This is a team that so many people were high on coming into the season. We're talking about Kyler Murray for MVP after week 3. We're talking about like all these things. You get D-Hop, Max is saying not him. Your wide receiver core is DeAndre Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, and Christian Kirk. That's too talented of a wide receiver core to not go to the playoffs, in my opinion. It has had opportunities to seize this division multiple times this season. When the Seahawks started struggling, when the Rams started dropping games, they had their opportunity, and now they find themselves really with a minimal to no chance to make the playoffs. Everything has to happen and the sky has to turn green for the Arizona Cardinals to make it into the playoffs, and like they're on the outside looking in right now, and it's just not good. I get it. The NFC West was a very tough division, but the Niners were not the team to lose the playoff position to. They just weren't. They just weren't. And Kyler Murray just didn't look good.
We got some breaking news, JJ. I just wanted to say, because you said Cardinals are going to need everything to happen. Jared Goff will be out week 17. Breaking news. He will not be starting against the Cardinals. So, hey, they just made it a little bit easier for the Cardinals to sneak back in.
A little bit easier. They got that's step one. That's step one. The sky still got to turn green. So, no. But that's step one.
That feeds into my losers, and my losers they are almost every team that was fighting for a berth in the playoffs or jockeying for position. Because I'm looking at it, the Rams laid another awful performance back to back. The Titans got blown out by the Packers. The Washington football team, we all know how that went. The Colts. It's the Browns, the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Vikings. It was a week of teams who were trying to. A lot of them had their own destiny in their own hands, and they all just dropped the ball. Literally, it was everybody who was fighting for a spot and then jockeying for position just shot themselves right in the foot. What are you gonna say? What do you want?
Everybody, because there was one team yesterday who clinched.
Yeah, everybody. We're moving on. Rapid fire. All right? Bang. Rapid fire. Graphics up. That means we moved on. Tough. Oh, boy. All right.
That's fine.
This one, We can scale 1 to 10. All right, and this is how we're going to keep it rapid. 1 to 10. How confident are we that Doug Pederson? And I'm going to extend this question. I'm going to extend this question beyond our boy Dougie P. How confident are we that Dougie P and Howie Roseman are going to be back next year? Because our boy Dougie P said this morning that he is, quote unquote, fully confident that he will be back next season as the Eagles head coach. Josh Safran, 1 to 10, both of them, Dougie P and Howie Roseman, go.
Wait, just a clarifying question here. Do I have to give a number for both of them? They're a package deal.
Are they a package deal in your mind?
All right. Well, if I have to do both of them, it's like a 2. It's like a 2 or a 3 because I'm going to say I think it's a 9 that Doug Pederson comes back, and I think it's like a 2 that Howie Roseman comes back. And maybe you guys are on different paths. Maybe you guys think they're a package deal. But to me, look, Jeffrey Lurie makes it sound like that Howie's coming back. I'm not buying it. I don't see how you can sell that to the city. I don't think you can sell it to anyone after how poorly this team did. But it's so true. This team does fight for Doug. Maybe that, and yesterday was only product of the defense. We've already hashed that argument out. I just think if you move on from Doug Pederson, not only will it hurt you, I just think it's a terrible decision. And if you guys think that's incorrect, I would love to hear it because, yeah, they did only win 4 games, and I just don't think it has anything to do with Doug Pederson. I think these last few weeks have shown it doesn't have as much to do with Doug Pederson, and I think he's earned his job.
I'm a full 10.
That they're back.
What?
I'm a full 10.
How? Full
I didn't
10.
say it was a good move.
That's fair. That's fair. If you think the Eagles are just going to make that decision, but you think it's a bad one, that's fair. But
yeah, I didn't say it was a good move. I'm a full 10. I think they're back.
Josh,
Unfortunately, I don't think Howie Roseman's job was ever in question in the minds of the people who actually matter in that decision, which we can go back and forth about how insane or not that actually is, which hint it is, but I don't think Howie was ever in any jeopardy. So Howie's always been a 10 for me. He's going to get another chance now, whether or not they bring in a head of football operations to be more on the talent evaluator side and take that out of Howie's hands. I think we could have that conversation a little bit down the line. But I mean, you guys all know I'm not Camp Doug Pederson. I think he should be gone. Dude, you're literally like you made a guy a scapegoat for you because you don't like him. Like this offense that you're running with Jalen Hurts is the exact offense you should have been running with Carson Wentz. And the fact that you're not tells me that you did something out of spite in a professional environment. And that to me is just grounds for we'll see you later. Don't ask us for a referral. Thanks for 2017. Don't call us. We won't call you. So I'm a full 10, even though I don't think it's a good idea. I'm sorry. Does anybody want to chime in? No? Is it Bueller? Anybody?
I mean, I don't know. You kind of talked me into both of them. I don't really think that Howie's job is super secure, but I don't know. You made it sound pretty enticing that Jeff might just put him down easy and bring in someone to do the talent evaluation side and handle the football stuff and let him kind of keep being the cat maestro.
Yeah.
So,
Banners.
I think you talked me into a 10. I was going to go lower, but I think you talked me into it.
You might have talked me into it too, because I'm over here saying like 7, 8, because that's what I want to happen. When you phrase it in terms of this is the Eagles, this is what they're probably going to do, I started thinking and I was like, what's more likely? Them actually moving? Right, exactly. Like I started thinking like, what's more likely? They do something good and get rid of Howie Roseman, or Jeffrey Lurie just backs down and says, okay, you have another chance. It was a weird year. Something like that, makes excuses for him. It does seem a whole lot more likely than making a move or starting over.
I mean, I'm not sure. 2 weeks ago, both of you were calling for both of these spots to be vacant. Both of you were calling, and I'm not sure after 2 losses how now their jobs are secure after a loss to the Cowboys that their jobs are now secure. I'm a little confused. I think Howie Roseman is definitely on his way out the door. For Howie Roseman to come back, my 1 to 10 is probably about a 2 or 3 where you are, Josh. Doug Peterson's a little higher. Doug Peterson is a 6, 7, or 8. It's not, neither of them are a 10. Neither of them are a 10. And I'm going more towards the what should a football organization realistically do more than what are the Eagles going to do? We can expect the Eagles to make a bad decision all we want, but if they're professionals, they're professionals. And I've been on the train of the Eagles need to move on and move forward for how long now? So bringing back the exact same regime and rolling it out again is, trying to just bang your head on against the same wall in a different spot. It's not going to work. Like it's not going to work. So if we want to do something that's going to work, it's got to change. So Howie should be on his way out the door. Doug may have saved his job just because it's a little bit more energized now that he has a different quarterback in there. But an offseason tells the tale.
Real quick, Banners, I do not subscribe to that idea that Doug Peterson did anything out of spite. I cannot believe that.
But you also said that you don't believe this season has much to do with Doug Peterson. And you stand on that? 10 toes on that one? That this season isn't much of Doug Peterson's fault? That's what you could go with?
I put it on Carson Wentz. I say Doug Peterson's play calling was poor, but I just can't believe that Doug Peterson's purposely using the good playbook for he has 2 playbooks. He's like, okay, here's the playbook when I want to win, and here's the playbook when I want to lose. Like that's what you're making it sound like.
Look, the stats don't lie.
That's not making it sound like. That's exactly what I'm accusing.
That's real. I'm saying that's ridiculous.
It's not just Jalen Hurts. It's not just Jalen Hurts. When any other quarterback in there besides Carson Wentz is there, everyone's like, damn, Doug can coach. Any other quarterback besides Carson Wentz. He looks completely different when someone else besides Carson Wentz is on the
literally in press conferences. Literally in press conferences, he goes a couple days before the week, or a couple days before the game. We need to do design rollouts. I know that's going to happen, and then you can retort with, "Oh, he's just saying that to put it out on tape, and you can't tell people what you're going to do because they now expect the bootleg."
Yeah.
So why are you then doing it with Jalen Hurts and not Carson Wentz? The game after he came out and said, yeah, I know what we need to do to play to Carson Wentz's strengths. We need to get him out, run some nakeds, run some skinnies, run some boots. He did it once. He knows what he needs to do to fix Carson, or not to fix Carson Wentz, but to help him succeed with a terrible O-line in front of him. And he only does it for Jalen Hurts. Why? This same offense would work with both of them, but he only does things for one quarterback. Even though I'm saying this,
he's only confident in one quarterback. He's only confident in one quarterback. That's what it is.
Look, I'm saying the common denominator in this conversation is Carson Wentz, not Doug Peterson.
It's Doug Peterson.
No,
all 3 bases. What are you talking about?
Actually,
okay,
we're talking about Doug Peterson. It's actually Doug Peterson.
But the common denominator, you're right, you did get me there. But the common denominator in the losses is Carson Wentz. Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Whatever. We're moving on. Oh boy, Max. We talked about it last week, my brother. And I'm throwing it right to you because I know you don't want to answer this, and it's the question. It is the question, my brother. Unfortunately, do I even need to? Should I ask it for you? Do you need?
Ask it for a dramatic effect. Ask it for dramatic effect.
Does Ben Simmons need to shoot?
I love it. I love the rollout of the question.
At this point, I'll just be happy if he can start shooting over 80% from the free throw line. I've given up on the dream. I've given up on the dream of him just being an absolute unstoppable force on offense. It hasn't even progressed a millimeter in the progression bar. If we were tracking it visually, it hasn't progressed a millimeter for his offensive skill set in years, it feels like. So, you know what? At this point, just stay aggressive, but make your free throws, because that's that's the most evolved
all you
form of
can
Ben
ask for.
Simmons we're gonna get, I think.
So
AJ?
wait, Max, you're telling me the video of him shooting in an empty gym with Dwight Howard, that didn't do it for you this offseason? Because that's what happens, right? We see the one video of the empty gym shooting. Everyone's like, "Oh, here comes the three." So not this year. We're not doing it this year, Max.
Dude's clearly good enough to make an NBA three in a game if he put enough effort into doing so. He just isn't gonna do it. I just know he's not gonna do it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of holding out hope at this point?
Yeah, I'm on the wave that he doesn't need to shoot. I'm on the
Dude,
wave that not on this, not anymore.
Shooting partner?
Not
He might
anymore.
not need to, but it would certainly.
It would help. It would help. It would help if everyone in the NBA could shoot a three-pointer. Some people in the NBA can't shoot a three-pointer consistently. Ben Simmons is one of them. But I think what Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey did that Brett Brown and Elton Brand failed to do in previous was like, hey, if Ben Simmons can't shoot, get people around him who can. Make everybody else shoot then, because Ben isn't going to do it. So go get Seth Curry. Go get Danny Green. Put Shake Milton around him in the starting lineup. Give him more minutes. You know what I mean? Go get people who can do it. Because Ben isn't going to do it. And I think you're kind of right to give up that dream or illusion because and I said this years ago. And I said this to our old colleague, Jake Galley, who just refused to believe it, that some players just have a ceiling at some skill sets. It's sad to admit, but some NBA players just can't do everything. They can't. And looks like Ben Simmons' ceiling is where it is with his shooting and his jump shot and his three-point attempts. That's just where it's going to be. So let's stop focusing on the one thing that Ben Simmons, or one of the few things that Ben Simmons can't do well, and maximize what he does. And Max, you point out all the time that him and LeBron are the two best players at creating open three-point shots for teammates. So get him three-point shooters because he's going to create open shots for him. He's just going to. He didn't need to shoot.
Josh.
Yeah, I mean, look, every year I have said Ben Simmons needs to shoot. And this is the year where I'm saying Ben Simmons does not need to shoot. You guys both said it. I mean, and I've been holding out hope. I think it's a combination of the two things you guys just said. I've completely just given up. It's not going to happen. And also, yeah, this year has been different than the other years where I think they've actually surrounded him with trustworthy shooters. And the thing is, if he's not going to shoot, though, I need to see him do another thing. JJ, you said free throws. I just need him to go after that basket like there's no tomorrow. My buddy, the Kevin Rice with Liberty Ballers, did a nice little breakdown yesterday showing just all of these times where he was in transition. And instead of going right to the rim, he just tries to pass out of it. And the Cavs just scoop it up and get transition. See, that's the thing. I don't think we should be – well, it's hard not to be talking about should he shoot, but I think the biggest thing now is just should he be – he needs to be attacking that rim like there's no tomorrow. And there's no other way about it. And I think maybe it comes back to the free throws, but you can't have one and also not have the other. It's almost like he chooses when he's just going to go and take it to the hoop, and the other times it's predetermined.
Well, one to Max's point, shooting free throws at a high clip makes you not be as aggressive because you're kind of in the back of your mind. You don't want to go to the free throw line too much. Points are going to be left out. You're not going to make those shots, so you might want to put it in a more trustworthy hand. But I do think there's an evolution that happens. You know, like for guys like Giannis and LeBron, they go in transition and their mind is score first, right? And for Ben Simmons, in his mind in transition is pass first because he knows I'm going to draw attention, so I got to be looking to pass whenever I can. But there are guys in the league where, you know, LeBron is transitioning into this, Kevin Durant is transitioning into this, where you're such, you know, a physical presence in transition, you could make a split decision when going down the lane. Am I scoring first or am I passing first in this position on this drive? And I think that's got to be a split second decision that Ben Simmons has to kind of mature to, and that just takes more NBA reps, more time seeing the floor, more time seeing defenders come at you. He's got to be better at not predetermining in transition. This is a pass first transition or this is a score first transition. That decision's got to be able to be made kind of at like the 3-point line. Like when I put my head down and I get to that final gather step, am I going up or am I passing? And I think he's making that decision beforehand. So you see him passing up open looks where he's like, when I drive, I'm going to kick to Seth Curry in the corner. He's just got to be able to make that split decision.
And real quick on that point, there's like
Max.
three. I was just gonna say there's three guys in the NBA that I feel like have a chance at defending Ben Simmons. It's LeBron, Kawhi, Giannis. Like he should be stronger than every big man. He should be bigger than every guard.
Anthony
He
Davis.
should be
I put
faster than every.
Anthony Davis got a lot of
Right.
quickness that can deal with him. But past that, I think you're right. Past that, he's blowing by most people.
I don't want to see him passing out of any transitions unless he's absolutely smothered. It's crazy.
All right. Well, hey, Max, it pains me to ask that question almost as much as it does for you to hear that question. So I'm sorry, buddy. I'll take that one. That's on me. I'll give you a couple 2 weeks. You know what I mean? I won't ask any tough questions because that's not my job. But sticking in basketball, man, it's been a weird year already. Even 3-4 games in, however many teams have played. Like, and JJ, I'm going to come to you first with this, man. Like, is the quality of play, like, and the competition in the NBA, does it seem different to you this year? And why? It's easy to say COVID is the reason. Are you gonna blame it on the virus, or is there a different? Like, do you feel it's a different?
There's something different. There's something about the NBA. I'm not sure what it is, but I just think it started in the bubble where we were getting closer games by closer decisions or outcomes that we didn't think were going to happen because of the variety of teams, and it's kind of continued into like a heightened level of play, a more enthusiastic play across the board, a lot of energy, like players get after it, where some teams just don't play as hard as other teams. Some players, they just don't kick it on like that, and I think more teams are. And I'm not sure if it's players have realized that this game is such a privilege, and they should be excited and go out to play for it more because they've seen it almost get taken away from them at a moment's notice before, that it's making them have more of appreciation for the game. But I do it's slight, but I do notice something that, in previous NBA startups, I haven't noticed. That like, hey, these guys are getting after it. I like it. I mean, the Mavs were up by 50. They beat the Clippers, who beat the Lakers the night before, by 50. Without KP. That's crazy.
Max.
I don't know. I think that there is, but I feel like it's mostly coming from like the small gym environment. I feel like the environment at games is really comparable to like like AAU or high school. And I think that since the NBA is a lot younger on average compared to its other professional league counterparts, I think that it's most natural for the younger you are as a person to not handle large crowds and new situations as well as you would at 19 compared to 24 or 28 or 30. If you're 30 in the NBA, there's probably no new experience for you at that point. You've been to every arena. You've played in your home gym, hundreds of times at that point. So I think that, if you think about it in terms of the youngest group of the NBA, the guys who are 18 to 23, even if they've been in the league for a couple of years, it's still at this point feels probably more to them like high school or, when they were 15 playing in AAU with the best guys in their 50-mile radius. So I think that's really the main reason we see so much spunk coming out of the bad teams, because usually the bad teams are the young and rebuilding ones. But if you look at a game between two of the playoff contenders, just like, for example, like if you look at, I don't know, so the Clippers Mavericks, so that's about as bad of an example as it gets, but minus these crazy outlier games where a team wins by 50, a lot of stuff still seems similar to where it was, pre-bubble. It's still, teams are still scoring higher than they have been traditionally. Teams are still driven by the three, still driven by offense. So I think that's really the only main difference is the environment of the game.
Josh.
I mean, it just seems weird. It seems a little weird to me. I don't know if it's the no fans and having it like in the home arenas and not the bubble, because I was watching a few games, watching a few replays. I forgot how awesome fans were. And I don't know if it's just looks like there's even less defense being played than before for as far as the first 3 quarters go. And I got to wonder about some of the teams who have been off for like months and months, and then some of the other teams who've been off for 2 months. I just got to wonder how much that plays a part. Like when you see the Bucks lose to the Knicks haven't played basketball in months and months, and the Bucks are just coming off of a playoff run. So I just feel like we haven't seen this many weird outcomes in the first few weeks. I mean, John Morant dropped like 42 points on, I think it was the first game of the year. And
Opening night, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I didn't hear as much as I normally would have about it. I don't know if just the numbers are just so inflated nowadays. I don't know.
Also, we're also in the thick of football season.
Oh yeah, well,
football season does that too.
It's just, I don't know. There's just so many elements that this year feels really weird for me. And it's going to, the other sports with COVID and even the NBA bubble restart, I was able to just jump right into it. For some reason, the NBA season, it's just it's a weird start for me.
I agree. We're going to move into tap outs, gentlemen. Who has a tap out for us tonight?
I
got a tap out. I got a tap out because I'm gonna take my 30 because y'all wouldn't let me take it earlier. But I mean, Josh, you talked about you talked about yo give me. Can I have my 30? Then you'll figure it out. Give me my 30.
Sure.
Josh, you talked about the longest playoff drought in the NFL right now. The Cleveland Browns haven't made the playoffs since 2002. Well, number 2, right behind them, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who haven't made it there since 2007. Okay, I was in 5th grade in 2007, so I am more than ecstatic to watch my Bucks be in the playoffs. It's something that I really can't get over. You can hear me stammering because I almost don't know how to feel about it. I was an adolescent the last time I rooted for a playoff team. I kind of don't even know how to do it. I don't know what we should do. What should I wear? Should I get a haircut? Should I invite my mom over? I'm not even sure. So it's crazy. It's crazy, but I'm excited, man. Go Bucks, fire them cannons. We in the playoffs, baby.
Love it. Max, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I got to tap out just because this is our last show in the year 2020, baby. This is the capper. And look, I mean, I'm speaking for all of us. Crazy stuff. I mean, there's a reason we're doing it right here. I just wanted to say, hey, thank you guys for having me along for the ride. This has been, my first year has been doing the show with you guys in 2020. I can say coming to the studio with you guys has been best part of my week every week. A little bit of normalcy, obviously right now, back to craziness. But hey, 2020 boys, it's been a pleasure. Let's just hope 2021, we're not doing this too much more.
Love it.
Nah, we're back up. We're back up and running in the new year for sure.
Max, $1 million?
I was gonna go down the easy out, profound, sentimental route. I hope everybody had a good holiday. I hope everybody was able to, in some capacity, see those who were important to them. I will reiterate what Josh said on a more broader scale. Thank you, everybody. I said this a couple weeks ago, but thank you for hanging out with us this year. Thanks for watching us skip on Zoom and robot voice it up. Thank you for, liking our posts on Instagram, voting on our polls on Twitter. Thank you for dropping comments to us when we're live on Facebook. Everything is noticed. Everything is appreciated. So thanks. I hope, everybody, in the Zoom call with me and watching the Zoom call live or back in the future at any point, I hope you had a good holiday 2020. I hope that it was a nice way to ready up for the light at the end of the tunnel in 3 days, 3 hours, and 37 minutes from now.
All going to go away.
I love it.
All going to go away. Just magically.
Oof. All right. I probably should have gone first then. It's a little weird to me that we can have something like the event that happened on Christmas morning in Nashville, Tennessee, go on and not have a statement from the leader of our country. I don't know if I need to say much more than that. That's just kind of just an embodiment of just what this year is as a whole. So I guess thoughts are going out to everybody in Nashville, especially those who were there on Christmas morning. So let's just really hope that what Max was it 3 days, 3 hours and 37 minutes, something like that. Let's really hope there's just a switch that is flipped when the New Year's comes, because oh boy, that didn't with a good taste.
I'm over.
Can't do it anymore. Can't do it.
No, really can't. But like they said, seriously, we can't tell you guys how much we appreciate you for rocking out with us here on Trust the Process Live. You will be able to find us in audio only form as well on wherever you get your podcasts. So you know what I mean? Thanks for rocking out with us. We hope we make your Mondays at least a little bit better. We have fun doing what we do. As always, we are brought to you by My New Philly, where something's always new and everything's always Philly.
Everything's always Philly.
Have a good week, Philly.
That couldn't have sounded good. That could not have sounded good.
You gave it a good attempt, JJ. That's all we can ask for.